What's up, guys? I'm Zinga Harris, Communications Director of the Coalition for Liberty. I want to make sure that it is abundantly clear that unlike other organizations that defend wrongfully accused people, the Coalition for Liberty will hold those who make false accusations against individuals legally accountable by filing lawsuits against them personally for their conduct. We will make sure these lawsuits for defamation or other charges get widespread coverage. By doing this, we will end the practice of cancel culture. Over the last few years, you've been informed of instances of cancel culture. You've had the philosophical reasonings as to why it's bad for our society explained to you, and you've been shown who the victims of cancel culture are. That's all fine and good, but we actually want to do something about it. Coalition for Liberty is the sword and shield for freedom of speech. That means we take action. Check out www.coalitionforliberty.com to find out more, but not after watching this interview. Hi, everyone. I am Zinga Harris with Coalition for Liberty, and I have with me today Nicole Prussman. She's a Moms for Liberty chapter leader, and we're listening to her story today. We're going to let her tell it, though, because it's a powerful story of what's going on all over this country. And individual stories, exposing individual stories, it's what going to stop people from taking your and my First Amendment rights. Nicole, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How are you, considering all the things?
Hanging in there. We're doing good. We're holding strong and trying to step forward in all of this that's going on. And that's all we can do.
Well, I'll tell you, the audience, she's a tough cookie and she's handling this with style and grace. But Nicole, I want people to understand, first of all, your background, what you've done for a living, and then we'll lead up to the rest of the drama that has occurred.
Well, I started my career in education. I am licensed as a 7th through 12th grade ELA educator in the state of Pennsylvania. Even though I did start my career in New York City, now I live and reside in Pennsylvania, and I do maintain my education license for what I do.
Good, good. So you've spent your entire career trying to make sure your children learn, go to school, go to college, that sort of thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
Very important.
Excellent. Thank you for what you do. I have a teacher that taught me math, and I don't think I would have graduated if she hadn't. So I appreciate teachers. So let's get right into the nitty gritty. From the beginning, how did your story happen? And let's lay it out for the audience.
So I began to be a chapter chair for Moms for Liberty last June. And the reason I did that is previously I had been working as an educational advocate, helping parents navigate the school system. And we had an overlapping mission. So I really want to help improve public education. And I joined forces with Moms for Liberty in order to help us gain a forward motion in getting change in the school districts. And we started making some changes in our chapter and attending the school board meetings, and started focusing on some current concerning literature that was being brought into the curriculum. And as we started investigating and addressing the board, we started getting a lot of pushback. Right. And that was focused strongly on me as the situation progressed.
Okay. So you were making headway, it sounds like. You were calling out the right stuff that needed to be called out.
Yes.
And I take it you were getting a lot of volunteers or parents to kind of get on board with the fight?
Yes, we had everyone who works with us as a volunteer or a parent. One of the things in the school districts we work in is there's a lot of pushback on parents and a lot of troubling things that occur when students and families push back. So people are hesitant to step up. What was great in this moment is that as we were making headway and helping parents learn how to move through the system, more and more were reaching out. And we did have a small group of parents that stepped up to speak at the school board meeting and some of the concerns they had with that being addressed within the curriculum. As we started moving through that, people started pushing back and getting quite aggressive with what was being brought up, not discussing the topics, but attacking me and my family and my chapter for what we were doing.
Right. So you've kind of been a bit of a hellraiser in the best way possible, your entire life, which is it is exactly what we need when things are going awry in the community and society. But what exactly started the drama? Like, did you, I mean, like what happened? Because it sounds like you were just being a concerned citizen, and then things went ridiculous and crazy. But what was that? What can you say is that's the moment that started all of this?
That would be the Friday night that the Pocono Record published an article about my arrest and harassment charges. While we had been having a rough week in the school board meeting and getting parents ready, I had a colleague in my chapter reach out and ask how I was doing. And I thought it was in regards to the week. But she asked if I had seen the article, and I pulled over right there with my kids in the back seat to open up her text message. And there, late afternoon, early evening on a Friday night, Pocono Record published about an arrest I was totally unaware of and charges I had not been contacted about.
So
that is how I first found out this had escalated to a new level outside of the boardroom.
So you didn't know you were arrested? or or so you're saying that
Seems
you were
funny,
never
right?
arrested?
I was never arrested. I was not contacted regarding any of this, and my first realization to this was a really surreal moment, looking at my phone screen at an article telling me about my life, and none of these things had occurred.
And when did you find out officially, like from the actual government, that there were charges?
They were printed and mailed to me on April 12th.
And then the Pocono Record published their article, was it a
On
month?
March 17th.
So a month.
I waited. We attempted to acquire some information over the phone and online. Being they're not totally digital, that information was very limited. I was told I would have to wait for the charges to arrive in the mail, which we did and waited. And while I waited for facts, these Stop Moms for Liberty members and other people who had teamed up with them began spreading things on the internet that were unreal, accusing me of harassment, saying I was attacking people, that I had been inappropriate in meetings, and they started just bombarding me on social media with more information than at this point I had about my own situation.
Right.
These Stop Moms for Liberty members escalated it right into an article that was published about me in the Daily Beast that had nothing but inaccurate, exaggerated, or false information about the past years of my life. And this has been ongoing all since stepping up to speak against, not even speak against in the moment, to address a concern regarding literature in a curriculum. We didn't even get to the point of the battle there.
And from what I understand, actual, we'll call them victims or kids who have been affected by this literature that you're talking about, and it's pretty negative.
Yes, I had numerous parents reach out to me. One specifically with really serious concerns.
Mhm.
Eighth grade, you're in really a state of development, and these children were being exposed to traumatic and violent sexual assault at a point where they're physically developing.
Mhm.
And this caused some confusion and uncomfortable emotions in some of the students, and they brought it to their parents. And these parents reached out to ask me how to address the situation, which is how it ended up being brought to the attention of the administration and the school board. Sadly, instead of saying, wow, we've identified a problem, let's investigate and address this, they dealt with this by coming after myself with false charges and accusations. In addition to that, these children who chose to opt out of the text were treated inappropriately, isolated to
Mm.
hallways, segregated to libraries, forced to do independent study without educator guidance. Some of these teachers took it as far as to share personal medical information with other students as a reason or an excuse as to why the children had to be opted out. None of these things are okay.
Right.
They all cause trauma on children.
So to the everyday person, that sounds like a cause that anyone should pick up and address or um, speak out about. Um, and so you're speaking out about normal. It sounds like pretty basic things that anyone would have an issue with. And there were articles written about you. You were harassed online on social media, and then obviously the charges that you say have no basis. And so what happened with the charges?
So when I got the paperwork, we were I was kind of a mess
Mm-hmm.
because after calling a couple of attorneys and figuring out what was going on, the truth is the charges were in a very low level court. As a matter of fact, magisterial court in Pennsylvania is equivalent to traffic court. The penalties hold the same level of penalty as a traffic ticket.
Okay.
So I was looking at about a $400 fine, plead guilty, and it goes away. The whole thing here is I had to plead guilty to something I did not do at all.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of the attorney fees was just, it's not something my family could have covered.
Right.
So this was really an ugly time because we had to decide, were we going to fight it? Were we going to give in? Were we going to close the chapter? And my chapter reached out, and by a true wing and a prayer, we ran into Coalition for Liberty, and they took up our plight and helped us navigate through this, which I would not have been able to do on my own, not only financially, but the puzzle that needed to be put together to show my innocence required a team of people to help us figure out. And Coalition stepped up to ensure that my First Amendment would be respected.
Right. Good. And then so I'm guessing you did not plead guilty
I
to
did
those
not.
charges. Good for you.
Considered it for quite some time, to be honest. But in the end, no, we decided to fight the charges
Mm-hmm.
and move forward there.
And is the trial still ongoing? Has it ended? What's going on with that?
So it was ongoing for quite some time. We are, thank God, at the end of it, and all of my charges have been dismissed
Excellent.
due to lack of evidence.
Of course.
So, I was charged in March. I was served in April, and my name has been dragged through the mud the entire time, my hearing being in October.
Mm-hmm.
And even though my charges were completely dismissed and I was cleared of everything, the assault online continues.
Mm-hmm. I think this is what, like, you're an everyday American. And I live in this world, this political world, where I hear about stories like this all the time. There's never been anyone that does anything about it except for maybe have the person on that's the victim on their podcast or something like that, or they write articles. But as far as legal representation, getting their name cleared, that doesn't, I haven't seen it happen very much. And so this is, thank God, this is a great story for you, because this does not happen. But the other thing I think people forget is that you have to live every day, and you have to live through this, and your name being cleared really, really matters. And so I guess I'm trying to lead to, personally, what has happened to you. There's the harassment, there's the charges, but your everyday life, how has it affected that?
Um, I've had to shut down my business. I've been harassed on my social media that I use to run my companies. I have been bombarded with bots that leave nasty comments or assault other members of my groups. And these are things that Stop Moms for Liberty uses. They harass people to shut them down and try to shut them up because they don't agree.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this has caused me to not only at least temporarily shut my companies down, but my children and I cannot attend events without these people protesting. And while that is their right, the things they shout at my family while we walk by or share public space with them, it's just out of line.
Mm-hmm.
My children are young. They should not have to be concerned with mommy's activities at a library event.
Right.
Um, we should not be able to go pick up summer flowers because a Stop Moms for Liberty member wants to follow me with a camera calling us fascists.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even really want to discuss with my 6-year-old what fascism was. We're a
Right.
little young for that. But this has been ongoing, and it's not just me. They
Mm-hmm.
will, anyone who even slightly supports me, they will just assume they're a member for Moms for Liberty. They will loop them into the harassment, and they will then hound them incessantly. And it's not fair, and it's not an acceptable way for adults to communicate.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I hope the audience hears what we're trying to convey. It's her story, but I think it's bigger than that. It's a lot of American stories all across this country, and the Coalition for Liberty is trying to step in. We're the sword and shield to everyday Americans' uh, freedom of speech, because the point, it's not just to be a mean girl, right? The point of doing all these things they're doing to you is so that you will give up, shut up, and go away, so that they can continue whatever their agenda is uninhibited. And so, thank you, Nicole, for your bravery. Thank you so much for standing up for children. And thank you for not giving up. And I'm so glad you did not plead guilty and go away. And I'm glad you ran into the Coalition for Liberty. Is there possibly one final word or a lesson or anything that you want to say to the audience, considering what you've gone through and your victory?
I really want to encourage people to speak out against these public assaults that come to people who stand up against policies that harm children. It's clear that the majority of our country feels strongly in securing the safety and healthy development of our children. I fear that too many of us are nervous about the backlash that will come. But the more of us that stand together against these things, the stronger we will become as parents in our school districts. And if nothing else, I hope Coalition's support for me and my chapter will encourage parents to, especially in my area, at least step back into the school board venue so we can start making change for our kids.
Amen to that. I want to encourage the audience again to go to coalitionforliberty.com, donate, the donations go to people like Nicole. We're fighting for the freedom of speech and education for kids and all that jazz. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.